Another loss? Well, this is something the Spurs fans are going to really have to get used to.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Spurs got preseason number 3 under their belt and pretend to be shocked, everybody. It was a loss. Yeah, it was a loss. Spurs took an L to the Pelicans, but we're going to dive into what did we like, what didn't we like, any standout players, any players that could be on the bubble as the preseason is slowly winding down. And then we'll have a special guest to close out the show. He is back, everybody. Donovan Mass, San Antonio's only NBA 2K League player. He's going to hop on the final segment to talk about his award. He won the 2022 NBA 2K League Amateur of the Year award. We'll talk about that with him later on the show. But first, let's go to bring in our guest. He is with Sweep the League. He is Sweep the League. He is Rudy Campos. Rudy, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. First of all, I got to thank you for that last week's giveaway. I mean, it went away. Like, somebody claimed it fast. Like, we put it out there. And then within with the first 2-3 hours, somebody tweeted at us, said, "Hey, I won." So thanks, Rudy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. And like I promised everybody on Twitter, it's not the last giveaway that we'll be doing with you. We'll do a lot more giveaways with you for sure.
Do you have other designs, like other T-shirt designs in mind or something like that?
We do have a few more designs in the work, and not only that, we partner up with Burger Boy a lot. So some of your fans might be getting some Burger Boy merch as well as the Sweep the League stuff.
Look at that. All right. Well, Rudy's going to talk about Sweep the League later on the show. But we're here to recap another L in the preseason, Rudy. It's funny. Before we hit the record button, I said, "Oh man, that was a brutal game," and you're like, "Well, that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season," and that's exactly how it's likely going to be. Let's get into the final score. Spurs lose in the preseason, 111-97 to the New Orleans Pelicans. Good. Just a quick note, though. I mean, Keldon obviously didn't play. Primo didn't play. Vassell didn't play. Pirtle didn't play. So a lot of the heavy hitters were out. Nevertheless, even if they did play, they would probably have played sparing minutes, pulled out, and that's it. End of story. But in a game where the Spurs were down, they were at least competitive for a half, right?
Yeah, they were only down by 6 points at halftime. I mean, it wasn't a very bad halftime, first half of the Spurs. What it really kicked in was that third quarter really kicked them in the butt. But the first half of the Spurs game was not that bad. They were still in the game. They were playing really good, really, really hard. But ultimately, it just like the Roman Empire collapsed in the third quarter.
Yeah, it did. The Spurs kept it close after the first, 28-24. New Orleans only down 4 points, and as Rudy mentioned, at halftime, single digits. And they were still down single digits despite shooting horrendously. Now, for the final stat, the Spurs shot 37% for the game. Yeah, there was like a lid on that bucket. But even despite that, again, they were competitive for at least 2 quarters. The wheels came off in the third. New Orleans outscored them 37-22. There was a 14-0 run in that third, which pretty much put the nail in the coffin. And that's all she wrote. One thing I did like, though, and we'll talk about outlier players in just a minute, but as far as players that are likely going to get a lot of attention / minutes this upcoming season, Jeremy Sohan, I know a couple times I saw him run the break, run the point, and I like that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a really good thing to see Sohan run it. I mean, let's be real. He's not going to be a big-time scorer. But, and when I say this very loosely, but it's kind of like a Boris Diaw, even like a Draymond Green, a point forward type person that could run the fast break on his own, makes pretty good decisions. I mean, he's kind of just an all around do the little things kind of guy. He's not going to necessarily be big time at scoring right now, but running that point, as far as the fast break goes, it was really, really good. I like to see him do that because a guy like him can grab the rebound and just take off with it and set up easy baskets for his teammates.
Doug McDermott led the Spurs with 14 points, 4 for 9 shooting, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He's been playing pretty well in the preseason. Dare I say, Rudy? The Spurs are showcasing him for possible moves down the road?
I think so. Doug's one of those guys that's probably on the short list of players that the Spurs are willing to move probably before the trade deadline. Let's be real. I mean, you're going to have a lot of contending teams, a lot of title contending teams that are going to need shooters. And you know what? Shooting is a premium. You and I have said that on many Locked On episodes.
Sure.
Shooting is definitely a premium. So Devin McDermott probably is going to get some good minutes with the Spurs, so that way he can be showcased for other teams as well. And let's not forget, Jakob's probably number one on everyone's target.
Absolutely. Now, the Spurs were down at 1.27 points to the Pelicans. Yeah, it was. If you didn't see the game, you didn't miss much. And there was a positive. The turnovers were lessened in the first two preseason games. It was like 20 or more. Spurs cut it down to 17. So yay, that's a sign of encouraging moments. But yeah, they just couldn't find the bottom of the bucket. I mean, they just were missing shots. Obviously, their heavy hitters were out. We mentioned those names. He had some very funky looking lineups out there. We had Dominic Barlow, and you can talk about him in a while. Joe Wieskamp, Langford, and Jordan Hall on the court. You're like, who are these guys? And you're probably thinking, Rudy, why can't this lineup be out there during the regular season for the tank for Wemby? But
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone that's out there for Tank for Wemby and Tank for Scoot and all these other guys, I mean, that's the kind of lineups you want to see. You want to see a Barlow, Wieskamp, and a Tommy Kuzi lineup. You know, that's something that you're like, oh, okay, we're definitely not trying to win right now.
Yeah. One thing I did notice though is I'm assuming based on the play from the bigs, Gorgie Dang and Zach Collins, that they probably been given the green light to take in at least attempt threes. You saw Zach Collins right away launching from three. Now, did he make any? No, he went 0 for 4. But you're seeing a lot of the bigs go for three. Katie Bates Diop, so I know the forward 0 for 3. Yeah, Dang, he was launching from the 3 line and actually connected on a pair, 2 for 5. Sohan, he took 3 shots from the line, from the 3-point line, missed them all. But it looks like the Spurs are really trying to get that big man that can knock down that outside shot.
They really are. And I mean, let's be real. They don't have a guy, a big guy right now that can knock it down from 3-point range with consistency. Probably Doug McDermott is the closest big guy, true big guy to be able to knock down a consistent 3. He was 4 of 7 tonight. Gorgie Dang, he can get hot. We have seen him hit some 3-pointers in the past. If there's one guy that might be able to start knocking him down, that's Isaiah Roby. I mean, I think he's got a really nice jump shot. He could probably get really consistent at that 3-point line, but guys like Zach, even like Keita Diop, I mean, Sohan, a lot of these guys, they're very inconsistent 3-point shooters. I don't expect them to be shooting the lights out anytime this season, but they've got to get, and I mean, the one guy is out there. I mean, it's going to take the number 1 pick to get him, but he is out there.
Yeah. Another solid performance by Josh Richardson, 22 minutes, 12 points in a starting nod, 3 for 5 from the field, hit a 3-point shot, 3 rebounds, 1 block. So, I mean, he may be their go-to guy in clutch situations, and all things considered, maybe, if he's still on the team as the season moves on. So there is that. As far as the rookies are concerned, we mentioned Sohan, 0 for 3 from the 3 line, 0 for 4 from the field. Didn't make a shot. 18 minutes recorded, 0 points. Did have 4 rebounds, and assists, and a steal. But again, the Spurs drafted Sohan to do a little bit of everything. Offense has never really been his thing, has it?
No, it never really has. At Baylor, I mean, yeah, he was scoring a little bit at Baylor, but he's never been an offensive juggernaut. He's just been a guy that does a lot of the little things right. What the Spurs really got in Sohan was a guy that has a really good basketball IQ around the basket. He's a very poor man's Boris Diaw when it comes to playing without the offensive side, because Boris can score when need be and he can shoot. But Sohan is just going to be the guy that does the little things right. He's going to be a really good defender for the Spurs. He's going to really add some defensive depth for the team. But as far as offense goes, I mean, probably the best part of his offensive game is going to be making the plays for his other team, because the IQ is really high on the court.
Absolutely. We're not done talking. When we get back, we're going to continue looking back at the Spurs 111-97 loss to the Pelicans. And then we're going to get into some of the fringe players, kind of the players in the bubble, maybe players that haven't get a lot of time on the court, but Rudy definitely wants to talk about Dominic Barlow in just a few minutes. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. And I want to talk to you about LinkedIn. That's right. Look, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. So you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Now, look, I've used LinkedIn to find some jobs. I've had a lot of positive experiences with it. I love the fact that you have this option. They can just send you updates on your job searches. I still get those in my inbox, and I love it. Even though I'm fully employed, I just love the fact they're still on the case. Look, you just want to go there right now. Go to LinkedIn Jobs. It's simple tools like screening questions. They make it easy for you to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivery quality hires versus leading competitors. Now, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We're back with Rudy Campos. He's with Sweep the League, and we're looking back at the Spurs' 111-97 loss in the preseason to the Pelicans, as well as I'm about to make Rudy very jealous. Make sure to let him know how jealous he got in just a few seconds on Twitter at Sweep the League. So, Rudy, I made my annual trek to New York Comic-Con this time, 2022.
I did see that.
Yeah, I'm going to make you jealous right now. I met Leroy himself, the Last Dragon, Timac.
Oh, my God. Timac, really? You know what? When Alamo City first had their Alamo City Comic Con, the very first one, Timac was here, and I was able to meet him then. And I felt the glow when I was right next to him. It just feels different, right? Knowing you're next to Timac.
They actually had on his booth a sign you can get literally called the Glow Pack. I put it on my Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Obviously, the photo's on him, but I caught the sign, and there's what is called the Glow Pack, and it was this all-inclusive, experience with Timac, the Last Dragon. But yeah, it was all fun for me to go. That was actually, I think, without the pandemic, obviously messing up, but as far as consecutives, I think that was my fourth in a row. So after a while, really, they start feeling like glorified flea markets. That's what it starts feeling like. Like you guys are really going there to shop. Yeah.
They actually do, man. But you know what? What you don't have at the Eisenhower flea market is Timac and a lot of these other guys that show up. So
that is true. Once again, he is Rudy Campos with Sweep the League. All right, Rudy. So we're looking at the rookies and how they're doing in their development. And sure, it's a preseason game, just game 3 in their NBA belts. But Blake Wesley, 21 minutes, 1 for 6 shooting, took a 3-point shot and missed it. 4 points, but, did a little bit of everything. 3 assists. He did have 2 steals. He did have a block, 3 turnovers. That's okay. What have you been seeing out of Wesley so far?
We've been saying Wesley's had a very fantastic and an awesome summer league. I mean, he looked like a guy that came in, was working on his game because his game was very uncontrollable coming out of Notre Dame. Really wasn't able to was a good shooter as well coming out of Notre Dame. Looked like over the summer he had improved on a lot of his shooting. He was able to control the game a little bit better. But now that we're seeing him in preseason against, bigger NBA competition, it seems like he's back to his Notre Dame days for me. He's really consistent. He's kind of controlled still, but I don't know if it's a sense of calm control. It's like he's getting to the basket, he's doing what he wants to do, but it just doesn't seem as natural and as flowing as it was in the summer league. I know he still has a lot to learn. I mean, he's only 19 years old, rookie in the NBA. He still has a long ways to go, but I'm starting to really wonder why we're not seeing the Blake Wesley that we did in summer league, and it's kind of concerning.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. Excuse me. So, it is the preseason. They're throwing him out there. Now, he's not playing against athletes at the college level. He's not playing against athletes on the summer league level. Now he's getting that next step up. It's
Mhm.
guys that are desperate for a contract, whether it's with the Pelicans or whatever team they face, and he's going up against the cream of the crop now. So we'll see how that goes on. But again, Malachi Branham, another good night for the kid. 19 minutes, 7 points off the bench, 2 for 5 shooting, hit a 3-point shot, made all his free throws, 2 for 2. He also chipped in as well with 2 assists and 2 rebounds and 1 block. Your thoughts on Branham?
It seems like every time that I'm on with you, we talk about Malachi Branham and we continue to praise him. I mean, again, this is a kid that should have been a lottery pick in this past year's draft, and the Spurs got him late in that first round. Not late, but in the middle of the first round. And the kid can play. I mean, he's a flat out shooter. He was at Ohio State. He can score the basket. He does a lot of things right that you want to see in a rookie. And I'm pretty excited to see how he's going to be able to do. I think he sticks with the Spurs 12-man roster at the beginning of the season.
Right.
I think he's that last guy to stay on that roster spot. But if he does, I really hope Pop gives him a chance, because I think with him playing alongside the vets like Vassell and Keldon Johnson is going to really help him out. And I think he could be a really big surprise coming off the bench for the San Antonio Spurs.
Somebody that's been on your radar and you like that he got some minutes, 7 minutes against the Pelicans, and that is Dominic Barlow. Now, you made it a point before we hit record, like you really want to talk about him. What are you seeing out of Barlow? He is one of those fringe players that could maybe stick on the San Antonio roster. All signs are pointing he's likely going to go to Austin. But what are you seeing out of Barlow?
See, we finally got our first glimpse of Dominic Barlow, and I have been talking about him for a little while. He's a really good rev up engine type guy. You saw what he was able to do tonight. He scored 9 points. He got a block in there. He was actually perfect from the field. I mean, he shot 4 of 4 from the field tonight. What you get out of Dominic Barlow is that high octane type player, and a guy that he knows the game of basketball. He's just 19 years old, but you're coming off of a season with Overtime Elite, one of the better, programs out there. He averaged 14.8 points a game, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, and a block. No, it was only 25 minutes. And again, I know the competition is not NBA competition when you're playing for Overtime Elite, but
Sure.
This kid has an engine on him, and I know he's not going to make the active roster, but I really hope to see him a lot more in Austin. And if you see moves being made like Jakob and, Richardson, McDermott, a lot of people being moved, I hope he's one guy that gets called up frequently, because I really think he could make a big difference for the Spurs, not in wins column, but I'm talking about on the court to give you that momentum. I kind of look at it like if this guy really, really, really stepped up his game and improved, go back to Malik Rose, man. I mean, he was a really big energy guy for the San Antonio Spurs, and that's kind of the same thing I see with Dominic Barlow if he gets that opportunity and does improve.
He's a bouncy big. I like that. You get to, he's very athletic. He's running the floor, very quick for his size. He's a player that's been on my radar since he was, signed after literally after the draft. They first picked him up.
Mhm.
So I literally need to see more out of him, because we have 7 minutes here, not enough. But I think as these preseason games go on, I think the Spurs have 2 or 3. I would like to see an increase in his minutes, because in the league where you need athletic bigs, he could fit that bill. Now, Romeo Langford, we forget that he's a Spur. I forget that he's a Spur sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field. This was perhaps the most significant time we've ever seen him in a Spurs uniform play, because, when he got traded to San Antonio, he was hurt. And then, they shelved him. And then now this. I don't know what to make of this kid. What do you think is going to happen to him? I get a feeling he's going to get waived.
You hit it right on the top of the head of the nail there, because I think Romeo Langford is one of those guys that we're going to see being waived with the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, he's a veteran. I know you want to keep veterans, but Romeo Langford was coming into the league. He was pretty hyped up. I mean, he had a pretty good, decent start for a little while there, but his time with the Spurs is pretty much numbered. I don't expect him to be on the active roster. I expect him to be one of the guys to be cut, and his days in San Antonio are numbered. I mean, you're not really getting much out of him. He's, like you said, 10 minutes is pretty significant for him. I mean, outside of a rebound, there really wasn't much to report on him. He didn't make any shots tonight. And it just
Right.
doesn't seem like he fits this personnel right now for the Spurs. Now, for losing, yeah, obviously. But as far as the team goes, I don't think he's one guy that's going to make it with the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, and there's a logjam at his position, the shooting guard. And there's Langford, there's Richardson, there's Branham, who's been playing pretty well. So
Yeah, Primo is another one.
Primo's going to come back. So it looks like all signs are pointing him. What about Joe Wieskamp? 7 minutes, 3 points. I feel like he's another bubble player.
Wieskamp it's a crazy one to think about because he checks that one box that you really need, and that's shooting. We saw him shooting in Austin. I mean, he can shoot. When he gets hot, he gets really, really hot. But it's like, what else does he do outside of that that's going to help your team in the future? Man, it's tough with Joe Wieskamp. I think we're going to see him in Austin. I don't think he makes the active roster, but I don't even think he comes back onto the active roster anytime this year. I think he's going to stay in Austin for the entire season. Probably is not going to be back after this year. I mean, worst case scenario, he gets waived by the Spurs and picked up by somebody else. But best case scenario for Joe is I think he stays in Austin the whole year.
We shall see. But yeah, Spurs will play again against Utah. That is their next preseason game. A reunion with Will Hardy versus the Jazz. So that'll be fun to see. Hopefully the Spurs can at least get a win in the preseason and then maybe let those L's mount up in the regular season. Is that the plan? Is that the tank plan? The more L's, the more W's?
I don't know. And, it's kind of funny because you and I are all over social media. And I try to figure out why is everybody complaining or why is everybody, making a big deal of L's right now. It's preseason. They don't count.
Yeah,
and it's like they don't count towards the regular season. So who cares what happens in preseason, honestly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter. All you just hope is your tradable pieces don't get hurt. Yaka, McDermott, Richardson, and the young kids just go out there and learn. And look, I think it's out there already, Rudy, in Wemby. Those 2 games he played in an American audience, his first time. And I thought, okay, well, fine. That first game against Scoot, maybe it was just the bright lights. But no, he backed it up in that second game. He had another 30-point outing. And he's not playing against high school kids. These are guys in the G League level or the professional level in France. So I mean, what more do you need to know that the Spurs need to up their chances to get that guy?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I've talked to so one guy I've talked to all constantly. I talked to him a lot is Derek Gervin, who we all know is former NBA player, George Gervin's brother. And I've talked to other former NBA guys, and we've all agreed. I've told them Wemby checks off every single box that you want in a future GOAT type player. I mean, you're talking about a guy that checks off every single box. There's not one box that he doesn't check off. So he is by far the number one. But I've even said to fit the Spurs squad, Scoot makes a lot of sense too. It's 1 or 2, but it's going to come at a cost. And people got to understand, if you want to get Wemby, it's going to come at a cost. Now, what the cost is losing, yes, but it's still not a guarantee that you would get him, being that the NBA is a lottery thing. So you may have to trade more pieces outside of your Pirtle, outside of your McDermott. You may have to say goodbye to a Keldon, a Primo, or somebody like that, because your chances have to be way better to get in Wemby. Or if you want that number 1 pick and you're sitting at number 2, that first team's going to want something. You may have to say goodbye to some very valuable pieces. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the Spurs will be the last team called in the lottery, and they get their chance to get Wembanyama. But when we get back, we're going to be talking with NBA 2K Leagues and San Antonio's very own Donovan Mass. He's going to be talking about his recent award, the 2022 Amateur NBA 2K League Player of the Year Award. He was very surprised. Really, he was a little mad at me because I knew about an hour before he did. And I told him, he's like, why didn't you tell me? I go, I can't spill the beans, buddy. So we're going to get his thoughts on that and much, much more. So stick around. But can't let Rudy go without him bragging about what he's got going over there at Sweep the League. Tell us.
Oh, man, football season is off off and kicking, and now we've been just having a crap load of fun on Sweep the League, just talking about anything and everything, and just to remind everybody, I'm working on the works, so getting some comic book artists and other people squared away, so Jeff and I can actually start talking some nerd stuff and put the sports off to the side, and let's get into some real talk here.
There might be a lot of time for that this upcoming season, because I think we could just put this podcast on repeat on every game this upcoming season, and then it'll make sense. Yeah, it'll make sense. Make sure to follow Rudy on Twitter at Sweep the League. Do it right now. And again, thank you, Rudy, for that donation. You made one happy fan. And that guy. Oh, did y'all already coordinate already? Y'all squared out already? He's going to get the shirt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will. I have the order actually put in. So I'll be able to meet up with him this week. So shout out to him. Congrats on that.
Cool. Yeah, man. Stay tuned. This week, we have another fan giveaway. The person that actually is going to donate is going to come on the show to announce what he's going to donate. So I'll look forward to that this upcoming week. Hey, but before I let you go, I want to talk about online. Look, you got to go to Bet Online. It's your number one source for all your betting football needs, info this season. Find all the latest player development, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. As always, Bet Online remains your continuous source for all your sport and wagering information, live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net right now. They have the odds, Rudy, on what the Spurs are, what their odds are as far as getting Wemby. It's there. Go check it out. Use your mobile device. Get on your laptop. Do it right now. Go to betonline.net. It's where the game starts. All right, and now we are joined by San Antonio's very own Donovan "Seldum" Mass. You know him, you love him. He is San Antonio's second NBA 2K League player ever to play in the big stage. And congratulations to him. He is the first ever NBA 2K League 2022 Amateur of the Year. He's no stranger to Locked On Spurs. Donovan, welcome back.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
First of all, everybody, Donovan is a little bit of a time crunch, so we're going to try to get this down as soon as we can. So please, it's really for the listener people, Donovan. I don't want people tweeting me saying you were being rude to him. I'm like, no, he's kind of busy right now. But on behalf of San Antonio, congratulations. You are the 2022 NBA 2K League Amateur of the Year. How does it feel?
It's a great feeling. I want to shout out everyone that voted for me, all my San Antonio people that went on and voted for me. I want to thank you guys for supporting me and, making sure that you helped me get this award. And I'm just, it's a great feeling. And it would be the first ever Amateur of the Year. Yeah.
For those who don't know, Donovan is a JBSA Lackland Airman and is an avid pro esports player, mainly focusing on NBA 2K. He and Team Rim Runners led an incredible Cinderella march throughout the 3v3 NBA 2K League playoffs, nearly knocking off the eventual champs Bucks Gaming. All in all, it was led by that effort by Donovan. And of course, his teammates were instrumental as well. Donovan, I spoke to one of your teammates at the All-Star game via Zoom, and he had a lot of things to say about you, positive, obviously, calling you a leader, that they couldn't have gone as far as they did without you. When you hear that kind of feedback from your teammates, how does that make you feel?
It feels great that, that we're all connected and able to get the bond that we needed to get in order for us to finally get over the hump on why we were so struggling in the beginning. And, my teammates had my back, I had theirs, and we knew we had to just lock in and take care of business. So that was honestly, it's a great feeling that from my teammates, giving me that type of praise. I can't think I'm enough.
I got to ask you, though, once you got word that you were the award-winning Amateur of the Year, what was the first thought that crossed your mind?
I wasn't ready. I said, what? I can't believe I won. I said, are you serious? I was like, what? Like right now? You serious? So, they had to come get me because I was talking to one of the TD League players when I found out that I won. And I was like, oh, snap. That's why it took me so long. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Little did Donovan know that I actually knew that he won. I'm going to say about an hour and a half ago before he found out. But at the whole time, I was thinking that he already knew. Because I don't know
Man,
how it goes on the back end on your end. I just thought that, okay, they probably informed them to be ready. That's it. But in a way, I'm glad you didn't know, Donovan, because I wanted to surprise you as well with that quick article because I had it ready to go. I wanted you to see that San Antonio was about to find out. So I'm glad it worked out. What was the reception of when you got the word from your family? What did they have to say?
they was excited. They called me like right after, as soon as I got done. They called me and they were like so excited. They were happy, and then they were like, "Oh man, like they really wanted to come and they couldn't weren't able to make it due to work issues and stuff."
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I was happy that they were happy that I won.
Yeah. What does this mean to you? What does it say about you, your potential to be in the league, to make some waves next season?
Like I said last time, one step closer to get into the league and finally get my name called to be drafted. Just taking it one day at a time. I got to keep gaining momentum, keep playing hard. Keep understanding the new games and everything like that. So it's gonna be a little tough journey and stuff. And I don't want that to be like, oh, because I won an award means I'm not gonna get drafted. Like, no, I want to keep working and possibly try to go for the number one pick next year and stuff. So that's just the goal for that.
Speaking of that, since your play with the Rim Runners and everybody, Donovan did have some experience on 2K League teams with Blazer 5 and Cavs Legion ahead of his play with Team Rim Runners. You look at that, Donovan. Have teams talked to you since the offseason has started? Are GMs, coaches, talking to you right now, like with the draft, ahead?
No, they haven't really. I think everyone's trying to figure out the game because the game's pretty tough this year for point guards and how they want to evaluate everyone position wise. So I haven't gotten any feedback. All I got was like just a few congratulations for winning the award, and that's to just keep pushing and keep playing and stuff, so I can be able to have a good chance next year.
Right.
So that's it really.
How has San Antonio reacted? I know on Kens5.com, I put out that article about you, winning the award. I know you've gotten some attention locally in San Antonio, but since the Rim Runners deep playoff push and then your award, has there been an added, attention towards you since the season ended?
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of like staying a little bit incognito. I like to say to myself a lot. So wouldn't really say like that really out there because I like to keep to myself. But anytime I do go outside, sometimes we do like hey, you're that guy, you're seldom, aren't you that guy and stuff. So it's nice to meet some of the people. So it's pretty cool. I like going out and saying hi to everyone and stuff whenever I get the chance or whenever I feel like I want to go outside and stuff. So it's just a good experience, honestly. Right. And I just love the culture and the family type of vibe they have out here in San Antonio.
Yeah, I broke the news recently that the NBA 2K League is expanding now to an Australian team, NBL Oz Gaming. Huge news for the league, showing its growth globally. But I want to get your thoughts on this since you've been in the league and are surrounded by this. I asked the higher ups at the 2K League, about the teams that are the NBA teams that are not in it. Because you notice a pattern, Donovan. There's been Infinitos, Mexico City, Gen G, Shanghai, Oz Gaming, Australia. You're seeing a pattern here. The remaining NBA teams are not jumping in yet. So, they told me that basically it's just the pandemic really just curbed a lot of stuff, but there's still interest there. That leads to the Spurs that, are at least keeping their foot in the water because they did that partnership with Tribe Gaming out in Austin. So there's that. But what do you assess based on what you're seeing, your feedback as being a San Antonio pro esports player, 2K League, seeing that San Antonio is kind of a budding esports city? Do you think that NBA 2K League could survive in San Antonio should the Spurs get a franchise?
Yes, I think so. Of course, I think anything esports wise can survive. Everyone loves NBA 2K. They love the gaming aspect of it, and just the esports in general. It's starting to grow a lot more now, which is a good thing. So, like we said, baby steps. It still is a young league. It's not like Call of Duty that's been around for a long time, but then it just blows like it's like all this new packs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it still is a growing lead, and it's still taking baby steps, especially with the pandemic blocking a lot of stuff that they weren't able to grow as fast as they wanted to grow because of the pandemic. So, in all honesty, I think it will definitely survive, especially with Tribe Gaming in Austin, and then everyone just like getting the partnerships that they're with and stuff. So it's definitely growing. It's just a little bit of a process. So just got like we said, it takes a little bit more of a steps now because now we're getting back to non-pandemic stuff. So I really do believe that confidently that esports could definitely survive in San Antonio, especially there's a lot of colleges here too. I think I do
Yeah,
still go
yeah,
to college.
yeah. I mean, you look at just St. Mary's University; they have a big esports department there, and then of course
Right.
those Port Tech San Antonio, the gaming out there. And I noticed on social media, Twitter, that even some San Antonio-based leagues are asking you to join. I think it was at Texas Empire, Texas Game Empire. They wanted you to join and be their star. So, hey, look, you got a spot somewhere on the roster, Seldom.
Yeah, they're like as soon as I saw when I was laughing, this. I see that this is like a culture family. I'm swearing, it's like they're like they want to be more involved too. And they're like, we're going for you. I'm like, just love it, man. I just love San Antonio.
Yeah, and then they asked me to be their talent evaluator. It's like, okay,
Right.
so I guess we'll do that. We're talking with Donovan Seldom Mass. He is San Antonio's very own NBA 2K League player, the 2022 NBA 2K League Amateur of the Year award recipient, the first ever. Yes, he is now in history. The first player to ever win that award came from San Antonio. He's also an airman at JBSA San Antonio. Speaking of that, have your colleagues over there at JBSA seen the award? Have you gone by to see how they're doing? What do they have to say?
Yeah, I brought it to me at work today. I was able to see the award, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like they actually liked it and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I think the Air Force Gaming is going to work on a story that they will publish on it and stuff about it. So, should be more stuff coming out soon.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't be prouder of you, Seldom, and your efforts. I've been following your career. When I found out that you were in the NBA 2K League, I still remember the first time I reached out to Seldom, letting him know that I'm aware of his existence in this whole league because I have been covering the league since year 2. Like year 1, I didn't get a chance to jump on, but in year 2, the league allowed me to go in. So from 2 to year, what is it now? 5 now it's done. So for those 3 years, I've been covering the league, and when I told you, I was like, "No way!" I go, "That can't be." Yeah, no way. And I looked,
Right.
now sure enough, you were there. And I remember reaching out to the league and asking, "I go, this guy from San Antonio?" They're like, "Yeah, he is." I was like, "Perfect." And I remember, I even love hearing when you get introduced last year during the playoffs. They said, "Hey, from San Antonio, Texas, Soda Mass." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's my guy." So there's a lot of young players, just players in general, that are looking to get into the NBA 2K League or just pro esports. What advice would you have for them?
The advice, actually, I did get a lot of DMs on Instagram and Twitter about that. So, my advice for anyone that's trying to go for the NBA 2K League, first thing you want to do is follow the NBA 2K League on Twitter and Instagram. You should also follow 3 of the main coaches that pretty much gets everything out Main Street out to for you to find players to compete with and to play in these tournaments and these tournament events that they have out to help for looking for scouting. So the first guy you're going to follow is U Famous Enough. So YOUFAMOUS Enough ENOUGH. That's the first Twitter. He's the head coach for the Heat Check Gaming. And then you're going to follow OG King Kurt. He is the head coach for the Nets. It's OG
Oh, yes.
KINGCURT. And then the last person you should follow is 2K Comp Games, which is 2K COMPGAMES. He's also head coach of Utah Jazz. Those are the mainstream guys that everyone looks for that goes out for like mixed tweets or posts where people are free agents and get picked up,
Yeah.
when their deadlines due for seasons and stuff. And that's all the main people about how they scout. And they also answer questions in DMs and the most people they reach out to. So I would get in contact with them. and then just get into like the season that the other league players and other people that's trying to go for league play and trying to just get out there and try to try to beat the pros. That's the main objective: beat the pros and get your name called.
Me and OG, we've been friends since I started covering it. He and I had lunch at Chick-fil-A one time. So yeah, he's really down to earth. He's down to earth.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody to talk to. Really good guy for me. He kind of leads me to some of the talent that I should be keeping an eye on as I cover the NBA 2K League. But I can't let you go, Donovan, without asking you a few questions about your experience. Obviously we know the big one is, you're getting recognized for your efforts, with the Amateur of the Year award. But what was your best memorable moment playing in the 2K League? We'll start off with that one. What would be the best one?
My best one's got to be beating the number one seed in the playoffs, and everyone thought was going to get swept. We swept them. That was the greatest feeling I ever felt, especially the game 2 when I was the move that I was practicing in practice, and that's the first time I ever used that move in the game, and it actually worked. Make the shot to close out the game 2, and I was like, oh yeah, we got this. I was like, I'm feeling it, and I got the hot hand right now, like I'm feeling it and stuff. So beating the number one seed was the best feeling. And securing the $50,000.
Right. What was the funniest moment you ever had?
The funniest moment? Let me see. I think the funniest moment
did you have like a rookie mistake kind of moment or a rookie moment?
Let me see. I'm trying to think.
Was it something with your teammates? Maybe y'all were just laughing at something. Maybe somebody.
The funniest moment that I think I have is that I had me personally is that for the arena times we had like a scheduled time for practice and stuff, and we're Ubering to the practice, and they sent me the address, and the address that I put in, it was like on the other side of town, and when we got there, we like looked out, and we're like, oh, this is not the arena at all, and like we're like by railroad track. And the Uber driver was like, where y'all trying to go? Like, are y'all trying to kidnap me or what? And we're like, no, we're trying to we got to go to the arena. Like, we're trying to play this stuff. So yeah, it was honestly pretty funny because like we were like 30 minutes away, and then like usually the drive's like 5 minutes, and none of us noticed that it would take longer than 5 minutes. And we're like by railroad tracks, we're like, this is not the spot.
Whoops.
So we had to
right. That is hilarious. He is Donovan "Seldum" Mass, San Antonio's very own pro esports player with the NBA 2K League. Hopefully, he will have a permanent team next season on the NBA 2K League level. And he is the 2022 Amateur of the Year award recipient from the NBA 2K League. Donovan, you know that you and I will be in touch. As always, as we keep an eye on your pro esports career. I thank you once again for hopping on Locked On Spurs.
Thank you for having me.
And we thank you for listening to another episode of Locked On Spurs. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. And we always thank you again, for subscribing to the YouTube page, the iTunes, Spotify, and the list goes on and on. Now, if you're a second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview 2022, a 6-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NBA, local team experts, and the NBA insiders of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey, all combining into one Ultimate NBA Preview. Search for the Ultimate Pro NBA Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. So for Rudy Campos, Donovan "Seldum" Mass, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.
Yeah.